B.S. Guha or Biraja Sankar Guha. B.S. Guha is a very well-renowned Indian anthropologist. He was one of the very earliest person to receive PhD in anthropology from the Harvard University, USA. So he is the first director of Anthropological Survey of India. So contributions of B.S. Guha to Indian anthropology is enormous. Okay, so B.S. Guha's classification of Indian population based on race is very popular. So it is he who classified the entire Indian society into different groups based on the races. So even B.S. Guha provided geographical classification of the tribes of India. So he classified Indian tribes into three groups: the north and northeastern zone, the central zone, and the southern zone. However, he failed to include the tribes of Andaman and Nicobar. So we can also include another fourth group of the tribes belonging to Andaman and Nicobar. So just let's go through what are the tribes which are present in different regions. So under the north and northeastern zone, under north and northeastern zone, he included the tribal people living in the sub-Himalayan regions, the people of Assam, Manipur, Tripura, and the tribals coming under eastern Kashmir, eastern Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, northern UP, so on. So all those tribes belonging to this region were considered as one group. So the tribes predominantly present in these regions are between Assam and Tibet. You can find the tribes like Aka, Dafla, Aka, Dafla. Okay, this is the Aka tribe. This is the Aka tribe. Then you can find tribes like Miri. That's not visible for you. Just give me a minute. I will. So in the north and northeastern region, we have tribes like Aka, Dafla, Miri, Gurung, Apatani. Apatani, I will show you the image of Apatani. So I think you are very familiar with this tribe who wear those huge round wooden things on their ears and on their nose. Those are the Apatani tribes. Patani tribes. Then you have the Mishmi. Then in the northeastern region, we have Kuki, Kukis of Manipur, right? We have the Kuki, we have the Lushai, we have the Khasi, we have the Garo, then we also have tribes like Lepcha in Darjeeling, Lepcha in the Darjeeling region. Further, you can find in the Around UP, you can find tribes like Tharu. Tharu is a very famous tribe there. Tharu, Boksa, Juansari, Bhotia. So the cookies are famous for a kind of marriage, right? Sir would have discussed that example when he discussed the different types of marriages. So what happens in among cookies is a person can come and ask, suppose a guy likes a girl, he can go to her father and he can tell that, see, I am interested in your daughter, I would like to marry her. So what the father will tell, unlike our regular fathers, you know, he will tell, okay, you live with my daughter for 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, and if you both find you both like each other and you're compatible, then you can continue, then we will get you married. Otherwise you can pay for whatever the days that you lived with my daughter, and you can leave. So what will happen, this girl and that guy will start living together, and say after 1 or 2 or 3 months, that girl will come back to the father, and he will tell, and that girl will tell the father, if she's very happy with that guy, she'll tell the father, Papa, I'm very happy with the guy, he takes care of me very well, so I would like to marry him. So the parents will get them married and they will live a life. Whereas in case that girl is unhappy, if she comes back to the father and tells, no, I'm unhappy with that guy, he always beats me, he doesn't treat me properly, I'm not happy living with that guy, I don't want to marry him. So then the father will ask that boy to pay for whatever days which he has lived with the daughter, and he can leave. So he cannot marry that girl. So this is one special type of marriage among the Kukis of Manipur. Okay, so these are the tribes which come under northern zone. That is the Mishmi, Kuki, Lushai, Khasi, Garo. These are the tribes which are present in the northeastern region. And then here you can find the Akkad, Dafla, Miri, all this, Apatani, Lepcha. Lepcha tribes you must have seen anytime if you visited Darjeeling. So of course, like until you didn't know all these things, you would have not observed. But once now, when you know more about the tribal people and all, next time when you go to these regions, you will definitely try to and locate, try to identify those people. Then we have a Taru, Boksa, all these other tribals in around UP region. Juansari. Juansari are the people who live in the Cis Himalayan region. Other than that, the Tharu, Boksa and all, they live in the UP region. Okay, Bhotia, these are all the prominent tribes which come under North and Northeastern zone. Next, the next zone is the central or the middle zone. The central or the middle zone. So these people who live in the northeastern zone, these people, their primarily economic activity is shifting cultivation or jhum cultivation. In some places we call it as shifting cultivation, some it's called as jhum cultivation. So what is so special about this kind of cultivation is, here they do not do agriculture just like how other people do regularly. So here what they do is, they will select a patch of forest, they will clear the forest, they will cut down all the bushes, trees in that region, and they will allow it to dry for some time, so that all the moisture in the wood gets evaporated and the wood is completely dry. So once it is dry, so all these activities happen during summer. So once it is completely dry, during the summer itself, they will set that entire logs of wood on fire. So that entire patch of the forest will be burnt, and that ashes acts as a manure because it mixes along with the soil. Then once this is completed during the summer season, with the onset of the monsoon season, they will just loosen up the soil in that region. And when the monsoon begins, they will start just throwing the seeds of the crops which they want to raise. So they do not follow any particular methods like sowing, plowing, whatever different steps are there in agriculture. They do not follow all those religiously. They just clear the forest during summer and burn it down, and those ashes mix with the soil and it becomes manure. And with the onset of the monsoon, what they will do, they will just throw away the seeds randomly over that soil. They will just loosen up the soil and they will just throw the seeds over that. So what happens with the rainfall during the monsoon season? The crops will erupt, So they do not do any removal of weeds or any other activities which is commonly practiced in regular agriculture. So they just allow the crops to grow, and once the crops are fully grown and it is time for harvest, they will go and harvest this. So this on this particular patch of land, they can do this kind of agriculture for say around 2, 3 or maximum 4 years. After that, what happens here, because they are not using any fertilizers, they are not using any pesticides, insecticides, fertilizers or any proper manure as such, the soil loses its fertility. So after 3 or 4 years, what happens? Because the soil loses its fertility, you cannot grow the crops anymore in that region. So they will abandon this patch of land and they will move on to a next new patch of land. So since they are shifting from one patch of land to the other, it is called as shifting cultivation, and it is also called as Zoom cultivation in some places. Okay, so this is a very simple kind of cultivation which they follow, and as because they do not use any complicated equipments, or they do not add any fertilizers, pesticides, also they do not use any implements, and they do not do any removal of weeds, everything, the produce also will be less in this kind of cultivation in comparison to what we do in regular agriculture. So this cultivation is predominantly followed in this northeastern tribal region by these tribals. Next, we shall move on to the central or the middle zone. Central or middle zone. So here we have the tribes which mostly occupy Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, northern Maharashtra, parts of Uttar Pradesh, southern Rajasthan, Bihar, Orissa, northern Rajasthan, southern Maharashtra, Bastar, Rajmahal Hills, Chota Nagpur Plateau. So all the tribal people living in this region come under the central zone. So what are the tribes that are living over here? They are Juang, Kharia, Munda, Santhal, Oreon. See, these are the tribal people which are living in the Rajmahal region or the Chota Nagpur Plateau region. Oreon, Ho, Birhor. So you can find this entire, all these tribes living in the Chota Nagpur Plateau. Okay. Then we also have the Juang. Then we have Kharia. We have Bhumji. Then we have Bhia. All these in the Orissa region. Okay. Then in Bastar, Chhattisgarh, you can find Koraku, Agaria, Baiga. Okay. There are various mythologies of this Koraku tribe. It's very interesting. Okay. Just like how we have mythologies, each of these tribes, whichever tribe you study, they will have a lot of mythical stories about how their origin was, about the occupation which they are doing. Suppose they are doing agriculture, or suppose they are doing whatever profession, occupation they are doing. So what is the basis for that? Like this, there will be very interesting mythological stories of each of these tribes, which we shall be discussing in each of our lectures. Now I will tell you one story, one mythological story about this Koraku tribe. Okay, so about this story is about the origin of these tribe. So what happened was, these people say that how the Korukus came into existence. So they have a mythological story for that. So they say they believe, they consider a god called as Badadio. Okay, they worship a god called as Badadio. So Badadio is god, they consider that god as equivalent to that of Shiva. So they worship Badadio as as Lord Shiva. So what they say is, once this Lord Badadio sent a crow to bring some red soil, and when the crow picked up the red soil and it was returning back to Badadio, it spilled few of the red soil from its mouth, and that fell down, and with that red soil only earth was created. Okay, it's very interesting and very funny also to listen to all these stories, But however, see, it's really interesting. It's not just funny; it's really interesting. Even we have so many mythological stories, right? Even in our Hinduism and any religion you consider, there are so many mythological stories. So this is also one such. So this Lord Badadio ordered a crow to bring some red soil. So the crow, when it was picking up the red soil and moving back, it dropped some of the red soil from the beak, and from that red soil only the earth arose. And on that earth, what this Lord Badadio did was he created some men and he created some women, and he gave life to them. And his wife, that is Badadio's wife, they consider Lord Badadio as equivalent to Shiva. So they consider Gangu Devi as the wife of Badadio. Okay, they worship both these gods, that is Badadio and Gangu Devi. So what Gangu Devi did was, in order to guard these people whom her husband created on earth, she created dogs so that it will guard these people, and she gave life to the dogs also. So they worship Badadio, they worship Gangu Devi, and they worship dogs also. Okay, so it seems that there was a dilemma that all of these were created by the same person, so they all belong to they're all brothers and sisters. So how can they marry? So what happened once this god Badadio created huge thunderstorms and rain. At that time, what happened? Each of these men and women, they went and hid under, behind different things, be it mountains, rocks, rivers, trees, like that. So when they went and hid themselves behind rock, river, tree, crops, and all, after the entire thunderstorm and rain, everything stopped. What happened was, their identities were changed. So they say they, according to the place which they went and hid, their identities changed and they were given a new name. So there were 12 and a half new names. Okay, so now they were no more belonging to the same ancestor. So now they were able to marry and they could continue the life on earth. So this is what is the story which they give for the for this for the this tribal people, Koraku tribal people, arising on earth. Okay, similarly, they also tell a story as to why they do agriculture. So it seems once these people, Korakus, they are predominantly scattered in this region of Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. Initially, they were doing hunting only. So it seems once the people belonging to the Koraku tribe, they started hunting a deer and they ran behind it. And that deer went inside a mountain and it hid inside a cave. And when these people were waiting outside the mountain, an ascetic man came there. Ascetic or monk or sannyasi or saint, whatever you call it. Okay, a sannyas. Suppose you consider him as a sannyasi or a saint or an ascetic. He came out, and it seems this person gave some food grains to this Koraku tribal people and asked them to have it. And then that saint told that, I am Lord Shiva, henceforth you are not supposed to hunt or kill any animals. So better you do agriculture. So it is from that time that this Koraku tribal people gave up hunting and they started doing agriculture. So this is also one more story which they tell. So let's discuss a lot of such stories in our future classes. So Koraku, Baiga, Agaria, all these are Central Indian tribes. And these Munda, Santal, Orion, Ho, Biro, these are all the tribes which are predominantly found in the Chota Nagpur region. Next, so you can find that most of these Central Indian tribes have assimilated into the mainstream Indian society. It is, most of the tribes, even in the northern zone also, even in northern zone and except few tribes in the northeastern region, most of these tribes have got assimilated into the society to certain level. Whereas it is only few primitive tribes, very primitive tribes in the Andaman and Nicobar, who are still living in the very, very, very primitive stages of development, and they are not coming into contact with the modern civilized society. So most of the Central Indian tribes, you can find that they will be involved in agriculture occupations, or they will be working as laborers and so on. Next is the third group is the southern zone. In the southern zone, we have the tribes which belong to the Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala, Coorg, Travancore, Cochin, Tamil Nadu, all the southern states. So the tribal belonging to all these regions, the tribals living in all these states come under the southern region. So we have the Chenchus. Okay, Chenchus are also a primitive tribal group or the particularly vulnerable tribal group. So Chenchus, which occupy the Nallamala hills of Andhra Pradesh. Then we have the Yaravas. Yaravas you can find very predominantly in the Coorg region. Okay, Yaravas. And they mostly work in this Coorg coffee plantations. Okay, so once I was speaking with a person, with a scientist in Anthropological Survey of India in Mysore. So he has done extensive research on this Yeravas in this region, and he was telling that the life of the Yeravas is really very bad, because what these people do is when they go and join as laborers in these coffee plantations, the owners of those coffee plantations take away all their ration card, their Aadhaar card, whatever they need, they just snatch it away from them. And these people are supposed to toil there from morning till night for very, very, very little wages that they give. So what these people do is from Monday to Friday, completely they will work like slaves, and they get their payment for that week on Friday evening. So Friday evening or Saturday afternoon they get the payment. Once they get the payment, what these people do, they go to liquor shops, they booze completely, and they'll be fallen everywhere on the streets. So Saturday, Sunday they do not see anything other than liquor. So completely until Monday morning they're fallen on the street, completely boozed. Then on Monday morning they will get up again. They'll go and start working in the coffee plantations. So their situation is very pathetic. Okay, so let's discuss more about the problems of tribal people later. So we have the Yaravas in this region. So you can usually find them in the outskirts of all this Coorg region. Yaravas, then Todas, the Todas of Nilgiris, right? Then we have the Irulas. Irulas are mostly snake charmers. So even from age-old times, they used to use Irulas to catch hold of the snakes. Okay. Then Irulas, Paniyan, Kurumba. And also I would like to tell you, please watch these documentaries on tribal people in YouTube or any other places. It is so interesting. It is not that, even if we see so many tribes over here, if we can classify them, all these tribes are coming under the southern zone. But each of these tribes have their own unique culture, unique traditions, unique food habits, unique occupations, and it is so difficult, to understand their rituals. What is the purpose of the rituals which they do? Like say, for example, in Todas of Nilgiris, you can see that they are mostly they follow the practice of polyandry. That is, one woman marries many men. So it can be like she can marry one man of a family and all her brothers will automatically become her husband, or she can even marry many men from different families. So why is this practice and how they do that? Okay, this is all very, very interesting things. And though we are discussing tribal studies as part of anthropology, we might not be able to go into each of these details about each of these tribes. However, if you watch these documentaries and all, you'll understand it very well. Okay, so we have the Paniyan, we have the Kurumbas. So even this Kurumbas, all these people, you can find them in the Wayanad, Coorg, all these regions. Then we also have other like Kadar, Kanikar. Okay, see again, when I say the list of all these tribal people who are coming under southern zone, doesn't mean only these tribes are there. There are several tribes. I'm just telling you the prominent ones which are present in this region. Okay. Okay. Then there's one more. As I already told you, Guha did not include the tribes of the Andaman and Nicobar. So in Andaman and Nicobar tribes, we can include them as the fourth category or the fourth zone. Fourth category or the fourth zone of tribes. They are in Andaman and Nicobar we have, and Andaman and Nicobar tribes are very, very interesting. Okay, so their life, their culture, because they're still in a primitive stage, you can find that most of the central Indian tribes, they've got assimilated into the mainstream. So mostly they'll be doing agriculture, or they'll be working in as laborers in other places. Similarly, at least majority of the South Indian tribes also. Whereas in Andaman and Nicobar, you can find that tribes are still in a primitive stage of society, and they're still shy. They do not want to come to the outside world. They do not want any contact with the outside people. So they are very very much interesting. Okay, so in Andaman Nicobar we have the Jaravas, then we have Sentinelese, then we have Great Andamanis, and we have Onge, then we have Champaigns. So all these tribes are particularly vulnerable tribal groups. That is, they are very, very primitive. That is what makes them more interesting. Okay. All these five tribes are belonging to the particularly vulnerable tribal group. And these two tribes, especially Jaravas and Sentinelese, these have not integrated into the mainstream at all. At least Jaravas from 1998 onwards, at least one or two Jaravas have come out. They've seen the outside world and gone back. And there are people who have gone into culture contact, who have gone into contact with these people. But the Sentinelese, no way. Hardly, there were just one or two incidents of few anthropologists trying to establish contact with the Sentinelese very desperately, and they just managed to give them some coconuts and give them some food articles and all. But apart from that, hardly there's any contact with the Sentinelese. So even recently there was this in 2018, an American citizen was killed by one Sentinelese. Do you all remember this? So if you all have been reading newspaper from last 3 to 4 years, so there was this incident which happened in Andaman and Nicobar. So there was one American. His name was John. Okay. So what this guy did was, he's 27 years old. He came all the way from USA, and he took all the required permissions and permits and all. See, even to enter into a reserved area or into a protected area, there are a lot of permissions which you need. Even the inner line permit, inner line permit, right? ILP. So inner line permit means, though our Indian constitution allows free movement for all its citizens anywhere to any part of the country, there are restrictions in certain regions. Say for example, if you have to move into certain states, you need to get an inner line permit. How many of you all have visited Sikkim, or like most of the northeastern states like Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, Nagaland, Manipur, and even the Lakshadweep? So even though you are a citizen of India, if you have to enter into any of these states, and if you don't belong to that state, okay, say you are a Manipuri, you belong to that state, and if you want to enter into that state, then you need not take any of these permits. But suppose you belong to other regions, other states, and you want to enter into this region, then you'll have to take a inner line permit. Okay, even if you go to Sikkim, or even if you go to so all these other places like Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, Nagaland, Manipur, Lakshadweep and all. So what you have to do is, either you can apply online, or you can go there at the border. You'll have a check post where you have to submit all your documents and your purpose of visit, everything, and they will scrutinize all that, and then only they will give you the inner line permit and you can go inside. And apart from this, there are other reserved areas and protected areas for which getting permission is even more difficult. So we have this restricted area permit, RAP, and we have the protected area permit. Okay, so these are much more difficult to get, and that too, for a foreigner it is even more difficult. So even for Indians also, if you have to get a restricted area permit or a protected area permit, so you'll have to give a lot of explanations to the concerned authorities about for what purpose you're going over there, and what is the purpose of visit. And they will not allow groups and groups of people, just like how we go visit the Taj Mahal, not like that. So there are a lot of restrictions to get this, and then only you can enter it. So but however, this guy from US, this John, he managed to get some permits or whatnot. He went to Andaman and Nicobar. He went to the northern part of Andaman. So that is the region where this northern Sentinelese are present. So he says that his primary goal to go there was to convert the people over there to Christianity. And everybody knows Sentinelese are very dangerous. They do not want any contact with the outside world. They do not want to see any other people. They are just like they are living isolated within their island, and if they spot any other outsiders, what they will do is they will take a bow and arrow and they will throw it at you and they will kill you. So everybody knows this. They have hardly come into any contact with the outside world, except one or two incidences where, with great difficulty, anthropologists manage to give them some coconuts or something like that and see them from very far. Okay, so even the authorities also, they will go there with in those canoes with the anthropologists from several kilometers away. Probably they will see them. They will put the coconuts over there. Then they'll come back and watch so that whether they come and take and go. So this is all the contacts that we have had so far with Sentinelese. They are a very shy people. They do not want outside any contact with the outside world. So what this guy John did was, once he has somehow managed to go to that place, he has bribed the local officials. He has bribed the local policemen, and he has asked the fishermen over there, local fishermen, to take him over there to a certain distance, and from there he has taken his own canoe and he has gone to this place where the Sentinelese are. So somehow he has even got hurt from that. So when he came back after when he came back, he told the local fisherman that he got hurt and he took some kind of treatment for that, and he gave back a letter to his mother saying, I'm doing a great, I was ordered by God to go do this and all. Something, he wrote a letter to his mother, he gave it to the local fisherman, and again he has gone back to that place with a Bible. So he said, according to him, it is said that he went there to convert the people over there to Christianity. So when he went there, he was killed by the Sentinelese. And how even the officials over there got to know about this was from a very far distance, when the officials were just going just traveling in that water over there, like how it happens in, like how our coast guards move on our sea coast, right? Similarly, these people also keep moving over there around these regions. So when they were moving there, they saw the Sentinelese were digging a pit, and they put a person inside that and they were closing it, and looking at his clothes and the way he looked, they identified that this is that person who this is not some a Sentinelese, it's an outsider. And when they inquired everything, they found out it is this person who went there. So Sentinelese are very, very primitive. They do not want any culture, they do not want any contact with the outside world at all. So that is why they kill anybody who go over there. So even the Jarawas are also like this, but slowly the Jarawas are coming, the little bit compared to Sentinelese. You can find that Jarawas have had a lot of contact with the outside world. So what was for the very first time, the Jarawas from 1998 onwards only, the Jarawas started, having little bit contact with the outside world. So first contact they say that they had, that the other people had with the Jarawas was in 1998. A boy belonging to the Jarawa tribe, in the outskirts of his, in the territory, in the outskirts of the territory of the Jarawa region, he had broken his limb or hand or something. So the officials who went over there, they managed to take him to the hospital and give him some treatment, and they sent him back to his place. So he went back to his people and he told how the outside world is everything. So another one more thing about Jarawa's disturbing thing is this safari. Okay, so there was safari which was happening in Andaman and Nicobar. Have any of you all visited Andaman and Nicobar some 10 years back? See, now there is no Jarawa safari over there. Okay, so earlier what used to happen was there is a Grand Trunk Road, not the one which was built by Sher Shah Suri. This is another trunk road in Andaman and Nicobar. Okay, so what happens is this trunk road, yeah, so there is this trunk road which passes, just give me a minute. So there is this trunk road in Andaman Nicobar, in the island, which passes through the Jarawa Reserve. So the region where this Jarawa people are living, that is a reserve territory. So nobody is allowed entry into this region without permission. So this road, however, passes through the Jarava Reserve. So what people started to do was these tourist people, whoever go to visit Andaman and Nicobar, both from India and from other countries also, they used to bribe the local people over there, be it the drivers, be it the local policemen. Actually, the policemen over there, they are supposed to, their duty is to safeguard the Jarava people from the outsiders. So, but what these people who go from outside, they are curious, right? They want to know how the primitive people are. That to these Jarava people, they are naked above their waist. So most of the people were curious to know how these people look like, how they behave, so that it's natural, it's human tendency, right, to be curious about things which they don't know. So most of the people from abroad, from various countries, and even from India, they used to go there and they used to bribe these local officials and they used to give money to the drivers and the police, everyone. So when they pass through the trunk road, what they used to do, they used to stop the vehicle. Actually, the rules are they should not stop the vehicle in between. They're not supposed to give any food to the Jarava people. They're not supposed to have any contact with them. They're not supposed to speak with them. They cannot give food, nothing. But all these people, they used to spend a lot of money for all these things, and they'll bribe the local policemen and drivers, everything, and they'll go to this road. They will stop the women or the men who are coming over there. They will ask them to dance. They will give them food, they will give them some biscuits, and they will ask them to dance. They will shoot them, they will take photographs of them because they're naked. And there have been instances where few Jarava women gave birth to children who were not looking like Jaravas. What does that mean? That means the people, outsiders who went there, have even had sex with these Jarava women over there. Okay, so this was going very badly, and finally, what happened in 2002 or something? There were protests, like activists who were in support of the Jaravas and the conservation of the of the tribal people's welfare and all. They started protesting that outsiders are going and they are actually doing all this. So it is, we should close that that trunk road. Later it was for some time it was closed also. But now, as far as I know, recently few of my friends went to, not recently, not during COVID, prior to that, some of my friends who went to Andaman and all, they said there is no way we can get any access to Jaravas. So that road has been closed. But even I'm not sure what is exactly the situation now. But I know that it was closed long back. But later there were again demands that it has to be opened because that road is accessible for other regions, and it is of very high importance for other activities, like for transporting things from one end to the other and all. So if you entirely close that road, it will become very difficult. However, they have made strict restrictions now. They have put in most restrictions on the Jarava Reserve, so that people do not access, the outsiders do not access the Jaravas. Okay. So there was this exclusive Jarava safari. That's very rude, isn't it? Treating primitive people like animals and taking other people on a safari and showing them, giving them biscuits and food and making them dance naked. And in turn, what will happen is even the Jarava people started getting many diseases from the outsiders. That's not just because of the contact. They are also becoming. No, it is the policemen. If you have seen one video, it's on YouTube. So it is a BBC. Yeah, it is from the BBC channel. So they show the video of this Jaravas where the policeman himself is telling the Jarava woman to start dancing, and they start filming the video. I think it's there. I'll just try to show you that. It's very disturbing to see such things. Yeah, it's from, not from BBC, it's from Guardian. Yeah. See, these are a Jarava woman, and if you see this video, it is the policeman who is asking the woman to start dancing, and in turn they give them some food or other eatables. Okay. So Jaravas have been a tribe of utmost curiosity, Jaravas and Sentinelese, for any anthropologist. Any anthropologist you see, they'll be having a lot of curiosity for these Jaravas and the Sentinelese. So it is also said that the Jaravas are descendants or of the sons of the very first humans who migrated from Africa. So we have this theory that human being originated in Africa and from there they spread throughout the world, right? So it is said that from one of those ancestors only these Jaravas have emerged. So that is why they are of so much curiosity to the outsiders, and their life is very simple. So how these Jaravas live is the men go out for hunting, they hunt the pigs and turtles with their bow and arrow and they bring it back, and women mostly do they go collect the honey, they collect fruits, and how these people do not have much of anything called as religion as such. What these people do, if any of the Jaravas die, they leave the dead body under a tree. So after a few days or few months, what will happen? All the flesh gets, goes into the, it goes into the soil, and only the bones are left. So these people take those bones and make them into garlands and wear it on themselves. So they believe that it will bring them good luck when they go for hunting. So that is the belief they have. They do not have any prominent religion as such. So it is seen that only since 1998 they've started venturing little bit out of the jungle, and they know there's a greater world outside, and they're starting to come into contact with the outside world. And of course, through this, Jarava safaris, they have really spoiled the nature of the Jaravas. And even because of coming into the contact with all these people, they are also getting certain diseases which don't belong to them. See, they have been isolated and living in this region from centuries and centuries, and because of that, their DNA will not have or their bodies will not have resistance to the diseases of the outside world, just like how we have, right? So we are being born into here, and from our young age only we get lot of vaccination for various diseases, and we generate immunity for those diseases. However, these people do not have any contact with the outside world, and they've been living in isolation over there, so they do not exactly have resistance or immunity to several diseases of the outside world. So because of this contact, what happened, they started getting diseases like measles, mumps, malaria, okay, all this disease also. And even these outsiders, not just this, they also started giving them tobacco, alcohol. So they started learning all these habits also of having chewing pan or betel nuts, consumption of alcohol, tobacco, all this also started getting into their started getting into the Jarava culture. And now since 2007, there is a buffer zone that is around the Jarava Reserve. So I'm not very sure about what is the exact condition now. I will just check it out and I will tell you in the future classes. Okay. Okay. So now I think we shall wind up today's lecture with this. In the future classes, we shall discuss the topics under tribal studies. Okay, are you okay with what we discussed? We didn't actually go into the depth of any topic. It's just a brief introduction about who are tribals, how they are different from us, in what regions, that is the geographic classification of the tribal people in our country, that is in the north and the northeastern zone, and in the central Indian tribes, the southern Indian tribes, and in the Andaman and Nicobar tribes. I have collected few pictures to show it to you. I'll just show it to you now. Yeah. So these are the cookies of Manipur. Okay, this is the Apatani tribe. Can you see this wooden thing which they put in their nose, and they put that in their ears also? Huge wooden, circular blocks. So these are the Apatani tribes. This is the Akka tribe. Then here we have the Khasis. These are the tribes of northeastern region. Khasis, Lushai, Garo, See how beautiful, their attire, everything is, right? So have any of you all visited this tribal festivals? There is this tribal emporium which is there, one in Delhi. It's Delhi Hath, INA. There's one in Delhi. There's the pen. Yeah. So there is one, Delhi Hath. So anytime if you'll go to Delhi, try not to miss this place. Okay. So it's Delhi Hath, and there are some 5 or 6 Delhi Haths in throughout Delhi, I guess. And the largest one is near INA. INA, I think. Okay. So there, if you visit, you can find all the tribal handicrafts from the tribal people throughout the country, right from the northeastern tribes, the central Indian tribes, the South Indian tribes, whatever handicrafts which they make, be it the clothes which they weave. Say, for example, the Todas of Nilgiris, they have a unique Toda shawl. Okay, so that is very beautiful to see. So that one, and all these jewels which they make, the carpets, handloom items like pottery items, and baskets, bamboo baskets, mats. So like this, there are various articles, even articles made out of iron. Okay, so there usually they conduct this tribal festival once in a year. So fortunately, in 2019, I guess 19 or 20, I happened to visit that tribal festival, and it was so beautiful. So if you log into the Tribal Affairs Ministry, there you will get an you will get the schedule of the tribal festivals which happen throughout the country. It is not just it happens only in Delhi; it happens in other states also. So if you log into that website, you can check the dates and particular dates when it is happening in your state wherever you are. So I happened to visit that tribal festival in Delhi. It was around December, end of last week of December or third week of December. In that tribal festival, I saw all the tribal dances. So there were at least 10 or 15 dances from tribes of Northeast, tribes of South India, tribes of Central India, and it was so beautiful to look at their dressing pattern, their how their dances with their songs, different songs, and how they dance. Some of them with their all this axe, not axe, the bow and arrow. With that also they will dance. So it was such a beautiful experience. So whenever the next tribal festival is happening, of course after COVID times, okay. So whenever the next tribal festival is happening in your state, in your locality, do not miss it. Just go and look at it. You will be, so happy to look at all that. So you can see how beautiful their attires are, the way they dress. It is so different from us, like, right? So the way our regular dressing. So here you can see how different it is. See, he's having a musical instrument over here. Here, I think this is also a musical instrument, right? So these are all very nice things to watch. And also try to buy all those handicraft items. It's very unique and it's very beautiful also. I brought some bangles from a tribe of Orissa. It's very beautiful. I still wear it. Okay. See these people, how beautiful their jewelry are, right? So these are the Gond, Mundas, Orion. So these are the Central Indian tribes. These more tribes mostly occupy the Chota Nagpur region, this region, and even their their dance, their culture, their food habits, everything is so beautiful. Then these are the Koraku, right? So I told you about the Korakus, right? So how they started doing agriculture. So when how some of them went behind the deer, and finally Lord Shiva, as a disguised as a saint, came to them and gave them food grains and told them, henceforth you should not do agriculture. Henceforth you should not hunt animals. So you start doing agriculture. And also they are the ones. The other mythological story which I told you, right, about how they worship that god who is similar to Shiva and his wife Gangu Devi, and a dog also. How when crow was carrying that soil, it dropped it, and how these people came and about the thunderstorm and all. So these are the Korakus. This is the Panian. This is a South Indian tribe. See, Paniyan. These are the toda. So you can see the shawl right over here. See how beautifully it is made. So yeah, you can see all this when you go to those tribal Delhi Hath, especially in that INA. I haven't been to other Delhi Hath. I went to that one and there I saw all these things. Even I have pictures which I took. I'll try to share it in the next class. So you can see how uh, yeah, this is the Chenchus of the Nalamala region in Andhra Pradesh. So they are also a primitive tribe. They are also a particularly vulnerable tribal group. Okay. Then these are the Jaravas. Okay. So it is said that they belong to the Negroid race, and they have racial similarities with the South Indian tribes. However, it is said that they are descendants of the earliest men who ventured out of Africa, earliest men who moved out of Africa. So from them only these people, these are the descendants of those people. Okay, so these are the Jaravas. These are the Sentinelese. See how Sentinelese are. If anybody goes close to them, they will kill with this. Okay, so you cannot even find many pictures of Sentinelese also. This is a rare picture which a few officials managed to capture. Otherwise, it's very difficult to get pictures also of Sentinelese. However, there is one Indian anthropologist who managed to have some contact from a distance. So those stories we shall discuss in our future classes. Yeah. Okay. So I guess you have a basic idea at least about how interesting tribal studies will be. So we shall wind up this lecture with this. We shall continue other topics on tribal studies in our upcoming lectures. Okay. Thank you. Take care. Bye.